Ofertas relâmpago no Boa Supermercados. Somente nesta sexta, 3 de abril. Ovo extra branco com 20, 9,99. Batata lavada quilo, 2,99. Limão Tahiti quilo, 1,99. Venha nos visitar.
Come on there, it's time.
And Integrity Houston, we do have you on video for the 4K encoder checkout.
That is great news. Stand by for audio checks with the wireless mic.
Copy.
6 hours and 10 minutes since liftoff.
Amy, I just did audio with the wireless mic. Did you copy?
You have good audio. And we copy good audio on the handheld mic.
That is great news. We're ready to call 4K encoder checkout complete if you are.
We concur. 4K checkout complete, and whenever you're ready, I have some words about S-band string swap that we're interested in having you all perform. And it is great to see you all wave, 4 smiling voices, and we are really enjoying seeing you up there.
Not as much as we're enjoying being here.
That is true.
This view on your screen coming from Orion, looking back at all of us on Earth. This is coming from a camera mounted on one of the spacecraft's solar array wings. Just a little crescent Earth. Now 6 hours and 12 minutes since launch. The first flight of humans aboard Orion.
Houston, integrity on 1 for fan speed / cabin temperature.
Houston's listening.
Amy, is it possible to lower the cabin fan speed a bit? There's a lot of airflow in here, and if that is not possible, can we increase the temperature?
Copy, Reed. We understand the request, and we are discussing how to implement. We'll follow up.
Yeah, sounds good. No urgency there, but just know that that will be our desire down the road.
Copy.
Now that the crew is awake, they are going to step into a brief post-sleep period, and then they will begin preparing for the perigee raise burn, or PRB burn. That burn is scheduled to take place in just under an hour from now, about 59 minutes until that burn ignition start.
Houston Integrity, good morning. We are with you for PRB ops.
And Integrity and Christina, good morning to y'all as well. Things are progressing well with PRB ops. We can do a quick tag up here shortly once we get our story ready.
And this is Mission Control Houston. You just heard a little bit of communication there on the Orion to Earth loop, and that is the voice link between the ground and the Orion spacecraft. So that was NASA astronaut Christina Cook, who is one of the mission specialists aboard the Orion spacecraft. Again, there are 4 crew members currently living and working on the Orion spacecraft as part of the Artemis II mission. So Christina was speaking directly with the team here in Mission Control Houston, specifically the CAPCOM, or capsule communicator, and that flight control position serves as the direct voice link between the crew and the ground.
Houston Integrity for cabin temps.
Hey, go ahead, Christina.
Yes, it is very cold in the cabin. Any chance you can make it warmer or reduce the cabin fan speed a bit more so the ventilation is not blowing as hard?
Yeah, Christina, understand. While y'all were asleep, we did turn one of our knobs that we have, and that was the rad loop set points. And we saw a very small increase in the temperature. And so we're going to take a look at some of these shell heaters, and we'll let you know when we start putting some of that in work, and we can see if that affects the temperature in a positive way.
Our next check with you is for your go, no-go confirmation.
And Christina, Houston is go for the burn.
Integrity copies.
Integrity Houston, the solar arrays are in position for the burn.
Integrity copies.
And this is Mission Control Houston. We are about 1 minute out from the perigee raise burn. That burn expected to last about a minute. The burn will adjust Orion's perigee, or the lowest point of its orbit, into the correct orbital geometry to set it up for its translunar injection, or TLI burn. And that perigee raise burn is now underway. And there on your screen, you can see the 8 Pulse-X engines on the Orion spacecraft. Now this is a visualization of the Orion spacecraft, as we don't currently have live views from the spacecraft itself, but this uses the data and telemetry from the spacecraft. Again, this perigee raise burn expected to last about a minute. Currently everything is proceeding as planned. And we do have confirmation that that burn is complete. It was a good burn.
We're tracking a good burn.
And we see the same, and with a bonus trim burn.
And there on your screen, you are seeing a live view of the Orion spacecraft from one of its solar array wing cameras, and you can also see another one of the solar array wings on the bottom right hand of your screen from the Orion spacecraft. Again, this live view comes following that perigee raise burn.
Report there. We really appreciate it. It's been a good first. Well, it's been 2 orbits of Earth, I guess, and this one's just got a 38,000 mile apogee. We're going to pick up in 26-1-100 pre-sleep checklist, and then we're going to dim the cabin down and get some rest. Thanks for your support.
Yes, great PRB day. Excellent flight day 1, y'all. Get some good rest, and we'll be in touch in a couple hours.
You as well. Good night, Earth.
Good morning, Artemis II crew. While you're soaring beyond Earth, we're sending a little piece of home your way. Here are some messages from your NASA team to brighten your flight day.
From your friends in the R3 Flight Systems Branch, we are go for exercise.
Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go fly from the Orion Human Engineering Team. Woo!
Wishing you an excellent mission around the moon from the Huntsville Operations Support Center's Systems Engineering Team. Go Artemis!
From the Marshall Space Flight Center Earth Science Branch to the crew of Artemis II.
We wish you success, bringing back some perspective.
We just wanted to wish you a safe trip to the moon from your JSD SWAT team.
From the Wallops Island Radar 5 crew, go Artemis, Godspeed.
Good luck from your Orion Mission Planning Team.
IMAP team wishes you a safe journey.
Go Artemis II!
From all of us at NASA's Launch Services Program,
we're so proud to support the journey to the moon.
Go Artemis!
Houston Integrity, we are ready to go, and that was awesome. Thank you for all of those messages.
You are very welcome.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Artemis Flight Control Room here at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. I'm NASA PAO Leah Cheshire Mustachio, your Orbit 1 commentator, ready to take you through a very busy day for the crew, namely with the translunar injection burn this afternoon. That is scheduled for 6:49 p.m. Central Time, expecting a 5-minute and 49-second burn on the OMS engine. On the left, the data visualization you're seeing is Arto, the Artemis real-time orbit website. If you look closely, you can see we are now under 10,000 miles away from Earth. That will continue to decrease until we get to 115 statute miles above our home planet. That'll be the closest the crew is to the planet until they return for their splashdown on flight day 10.
Integrity. Houston has completed the poll for TLI.
When the engine ignites, you embark on humanity's lunar homecoming arc and set the course to return Integrity and her crew safely home. Houston is go for TLI.
Integrity copies, and your Integrity crew is go for TLI. With this burn to the moon, we do not leave Earth, we choose it.
Mission control is go. The crew is go. You're getting a live view from Orion now of Earth. "10 seconds until translunar injection burn start.
Integrity, good engine, good control.
We show the same. Feels great up here.
At MET, mission elapsed time of 1 day, 1 hour, and 14 minutes into the Artemis II mission. As Orion was flying 115 statute miles above Earth and 247,600 miles away from the moon, we have the start of the translunar injection burn that will send the crew around the moon, the first humans to do so in over 50 years. Velocity of the spacecraft ticking up, now over 23,900 miles per hour. 2 minutes into this 5-minute and 50 burn. Continuing to get good calls here in Mission Control Houston from all flight controllers.
Integrity, we copy the enabled caution, no crew action.
Okay, Integrity copies.
Over 3 minutes now into the translunar injection burn. These live views coming from Orion as it looks back on Earth, leaving high Earth orbit and beginning its journey to the moon. We are now 230 miles above Earth, 246,500 miles away from the moon. We have 1 minute left in the translunar injection burn. Everything continuing to look good. We have less than 20 seconds left of this burn. This is the final major burn for the mission because this also serves as our deorbit burn.
Integrity looks like a good burn. We're confirming.
Integrity copies.
Confirmation from teams here on the ground to the Artemis II crew aboard Orion. We have translunar injection burn cutoff and early reports that it was a very good burn. Orion now 520 miles away from Earth. Just 5 minutes ago, we were only 115 miles above Earth's surface. That distance will continue to increase as we are now on a trajectory to fly around the moon for the first time in over 50 years. Live views from the Orion spacecraft as it looks back on Earth following completion of the translunar injection burn, the burn that commits us to flying around the moon. It also commits us to a return to our home planet on flight day 10 and a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. But for now, these views of Earth as Orion starts its journey.
And Houston Integrity, we just wanted to share a little bit of the sentiment up here as we came around the planet, and we're zooming over just 100 nautical miles above it if you got a moment.
Please, Jeremy, we are all ears.
Well, with that successful TLI, the crew's feeling pretty good up here on our way to the moon, and we just wanted to communicate to everyone around the planet who's worked to make Artemis possible that we firmly felt the power of your perseverance during every second of that burn. Humanity has once again shown what we are capable of, and it's your hopes for the future that carry us now on this journey around the moon.
Hugs there at the Capcom console from NASA astronaut and Capcom, or capsule communicator, Chris Birch, with Artemis II backup and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons. This is a live view from the Orion capsule looking back on Earth, our home planet. We are now 18,500 miles away from Earth. When we conducted that translunar injection burn coming up on about 2 hours ago, we were just 115 miles above our planet. Obviously, that has increased exponentially as we are now on the journey to the moon and back home. Currently, Orion is 223,000 miles away from the moon. This is Artemis Mission Control, now MET, or mission elapsed time, 1 day, 3 hours, and 10 minutes into the Artemis II mission, the first flight of humans around the moon in over 50 years. And we are going to the moon. After a successful translunar injection burn today, we are now over 19,500 miles away from Earth and growing closer to our lunar neighbor, now 222,000 miles away from the moon. The view on the left side of your screen is from Orion, a live view looking back at our home planet, that small dot. And down in the bottom right-hand screen, you can see Capcom Chris Birch wrapping up her Orbit 1 shift today, as well as Flight Director Jeff Radigan. They've been leading the teams throughout Orbit 1 and the translunar injection burn.
Integrity Houston, you ready for the event?
Houston Integrity, we are ready for the event.
ABC News, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Integrity for a voice check.
Integrity, this is Gio Benitez at ABC News. How do you hear me?
Outstanding. We have you loud and clear. How about us?
I hear you loud and clear, and I truly cannot believe it. You are quite literally on the way to the moon right now and still speaking with us. Tell me, how do you feel? What's going through your mind? I mean, this must be so incredible because have you allowed the weight of the moment to really fit in here? Have you allowed that to happen?
Well, first and foremost, we all wanted to give a shout out to our families first because we are pretty far from Earth and we have not gotten to say hi to them yet. But there was a moment about an hour ago where Mission Control Houston reoriented our spacecraft as the sun was setting behind the Earth. And I don't know what we all expected to see in that moment, but you could see the entire globe from pole to pole. You could see Africa, Europe, and if you looked really close, you could see the northern lights. It was the most spectacular moment, and it paused all four of us in our tracks.
Yeah, well, you are making history. Reed Weissman, Christina Koch, Jeremy Hansen, Victor Glover. Congratulations to all of you. America, the world is with you. We are watching every moment of this journey, and we will cheer you when you get back and along the way. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck to you, and safe travels.
Subscribe for more space.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us live from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, where we are beginning a new chapter in America's human spaceflight story. We are so humbled to have thousands of people here in person to witness this, and the many more watching online from around the world. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and this is NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers.
Thanks, Megan.
What a historic day to be here.
What a historic day to be here. Obviously, for what we see right behind us here, the SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft on launch pad 39B. Artemis II is a nearly 10-day flight test to prove NASA can safely fly astronauts around the moon before attempting to land on it in just 2 years, hopefully.
Yes, you know, like you said, it's a test flight, so we're going to put humans on this rocket for the first time ever, and we're going to test out the systems on board and hopefully get around the moon.
And in charge of liftoff today is Launch Director Charlie Blackwell Thompson. She and her team are just across the street from us inside of the Launch Control Center. They kicked off continuous around-the-clock operations just before 5 p.m. on Monday and started fueling the rocket about 4 hours ago.
That com cap will also connect into the suit, which then eventually connects into the capsule through an umbilical there. So there's a lot of cords and wires. You can see them tuck in that cord under his chin right now.
And so the suits they're wearing, they're called the Orion Crew Survival Suits, or OX suits. And so they're worn for launch and reentry or during high-risk or emergency situations.
And welcome into Firing Room 1, a historic firing room here at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here reporting what's happening as we lead up to countdown and liftoff of Artemis II. So far, looking pretty good. You see the rocket out there on the pad. It is launch day, and we just got that crew weather brief that you were talking about from Launch Director Charlie Blackwell Thompson to the crew. It looks like a countdown at this point is in good shape, and that's great news. Fueling continues to track well. We just reached all stages replenished.
Now, Reed Weissman is a Baltimore native. He's been in space once before as flight engineer for Expedition 41 aboard the International Space Station from May through November 2014. And so now here we are, pilot Victor Glover. NASA selected the California native as an astronaut in 2013. At the time, he was actually serving as a legislative fellow in the United States Senate. His first trip to space was in November 2020 when he launched as pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission. That was the first operational mission of NASA's Commercial Crew program. And so it looks like Christina here has completed her suit leak checks as well, her communication checks too.
Yep, they've already got her gloves off. They're getting ready to kind of hang out and relax a little bit, I think, before they walk out.
She is a mission specialist for this mission, native of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Was selected to the astronaut corps in 2013, so actually same class as Victor. And last but not least, first-time flyer, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon as a mission specialist on the Artemis II mission. The London, Ontario native was selected as an astronaut in 2009. After that, he worked as CATCOM at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston.
The team you see here in this room today has been training extensively to prepare for the highly dynamic phase of flight that begins shortly after engine ignition. Teams here will be monitoring the flight of the Space Launch System, Orion, and of course the Artemis II crew on board as they make their way from the Kennedy Space Center into Earth orbit.
Yes, a pre-flight tradition that we have seen with our crewed flights and our astronauts, the card game, Nicole.
Yeah, you know, this is a fun time for the crew. Kind of relax a little bit, play a card game with the chief. You can see Scott Tingle there is the dealer today. Looks like they're playing high card wins. So Victor won. He's out. Now Jeremy's out. You know, there are two schools of thought on this game. Either you want to get rid of all your bad luck or go out on a high note. So it looks like the crew chose we're going out on a high note.
Now, the SLS, or the Space Launch System, very big, very powerful. It is going to be producing 8.8 million pounds of thrust at launch. And like I mentioned, very large, as you can see here, going to stand about 322 feet tall with Orion there on top, just a little bit taller than the Statue of Liberty.
And here we are, the closeout crew in the White Room getting ready for the astronauts who have just left crew suit up and are now walking down a hallway to greet some family and friends downstairs. Commander Reed Weissman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. And here they are, NASA's Artemis II crew. Commander Reed Weissman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen taking their first steps outside for their historic test flight. To a wonderful applause from the crowd. They're looking really excited
Some
and
big
really
smiles.
ready.
I love that.
It's a great day for us.
Great day for this team.
A few words from Reed. Great day for us, the team, he said. Thumbs up, more thumbs up. Of course, a lot of pictures. We hear some camera shutter clicks back there.
Let's go!
I love the energy of this crowd. Let's go. And so now the crew walking over to each of their pens. The first people closest to them, of course, their family members who got to quarantine with them, correct?
Yes.
You heard Reed there saying thank you guys as the crowd picks up again with their applause and the four of them step into their astrovan.
And there they go.
And off they go. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy now on their way to launch pad 39B, where they will fly to the moon, something no human has done in over 50 years. They may also set a new record as the farthest humans have ever been from Earth, a record set by the Apollo 13 crew almost 56 years ago today.
Yeah, you know, we talked about how tall this rocket is earlier.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that point of view, yeah. And now we're watching the crew walk across the crew access arm, getting a beautiful view of Kennedy Space Center.
From 274 feet. Woo.
Nicole laughs because Nicole is also, like Reed, does not like heights.
I do not like how open that crew access arm is. Oh, and he's already turned around and walking in. You can see Dre's protecting his helmet and his visor there from all that metal.
Yeah.
It's a tight squeeze, but they've done this a lot, so Reed's already all the way across the capsule.
Yeah, that was fast. Impressive, Reed. Impressive. That's why you're the commander. Oh, a heart there from Jeremy again. Yep, Canada.
Yeah.
Canada is about to get into Orion. This is a camera shot of behind Reed's head. So Reed, while Andre is buckling him in, that's a 5-point harness, Reed was configuring his control panel.
Yeah, the displays. We're getting the displays ready so that they can monitor all of the systems and monitor the launch as they go. Christina there signing the wall.
That they're working there. And there's a heart from Christina Cook. Great to see that as she gets ready to get into the Orion spacecraft, one that they named Integrity. It certainly fits this crew from what I've observed.
Drag on camera, like we were saying, that kind of moves around, so sometimes it's hard to show that, so there you have it. You can see that the closeout crew has closed the side hatch. And so right now, that's a panel that they have to close out in order to then close the next hatch, which is the launch abort system hatch.
We are currently not working any constraints with regards to the rocket or the ground systems. But the launch team has been made aware of an issue that the range is working. And currently they're monitoring that work that is going on over at the range. We understand that issue is related to the flight termination system. Now, the flight termination system, just to give you a quick explainer, every rocket has a flight termination system. It's the system that the Eastern Range here uses in order to send a destruct signal to a rocket in case it veers off path. So it's a very critical, important safety component. The bottom line of all this is, at this moment, the range is no-go. But that is not stopping us from moving forward in the countdown. We can continue to process and work the countdown. The closeout crew will continue to do their work, and the launch team will continue to do their work as well. We're just getting an update, in fact, about what I was about to report out on the range, and the good news is the range is go.
As we see now live inside of the White Room at the launch pad, the closeout crew has closed the launch abort system hatch. You saw there, we took it live. Took a lot of them, I think all of them. except for one. I think it took all 3 or 4 of them to push that hatch door close, and then they felt around the perimeter of the door to make sure that everything was sitting just right.
We currently are hearing the launch team is working an issue that was reported out with the LAS. At least there's an issue apparently with a battery on the LAS. The engineer who is in charge of the launch abort system sits on console here, reported that a temperature for one of the 2 LAS batteries is out of range, and although it's not a constraint for launch right now, it would be when that temperature is checked inside of T-minus 6 minutes, which is inside of terminal count. So right now the team is working some troubleshooting on this issue. Going to follow, of course, along closely with what they learn. But again, a battery temp for one of the 2 batteries on the LAS is out of spec, and the team is working to understand, first of all, whether or not this may be a sensor issue, or is there an issue with the battery itself.
We're one big NASA team, one big NASA family, and we have one major message before we launch tonight. Okay, guys, what are we going to say? 1, 2, 3, go Artemis!
Great news too. Remember, the team was tracking an issue with the launch abort system battery. They appear to have cleared that issue, so we are go for launch.
All right, thank you, Megan and Nicole, and just want to give you an update on the launch abort system that you just reported that they cleared. They believe, they're convinced, this is an instrumentation failure. So there are 2 batteries on the LAS. The LAS, of course, and with the help of my 2-year-old son's model rocket, Daniel said I could use this, so it's okay. The LAS is right here. It's the tower above Orion. Orion capsule's inside of here. It's used to pull Orion off the rocket in case the rocket something's going on with the rocket, either on the pad or in flight. 2 batteries are bad. Well, I'm sorry. One of the 2 batteries reported an out-of-family temperature, and it was very much out of family. And so they checked their data going back into the vehicle assembly building where they recharged the batteries and worked on them. And they have good, solid data, they reported, that tells them that this is an instrumentation failure, that there's something wrong with the sensor. And so they took it before the mission management team, which has to accept the risk, any changes to launch commit criteria, which this would be one, and they all fully accepted it. So now we are clear as far as that constraint is concerned.
NTD COSE hold requested.
Copy that.
I have an LCC violation of O-CT-004, S-band transponder anomaly. This was a transient LCC violation, so transponder 1 had a demodulated SNR estimate that went down to 2 dBm when it should have been between 10 and 13. It is now back up to 12, but we did lose that for just a moment. It does not appear that we lost our bit sync or carrier lock, which would be indicative that we lost our lock with the vehicle. So at this point, recommendation would still be go. However, we do have a pre-planned contingency procedure if we want to look at that. But again, this was transient, so we're back in a nominal range.
Yeah, us taking a look at the data right here, looks like that was a single sample.
Yeah, copy that. RFTS does report that they also lost lock for about 5 seconds. So I would love to ask KUS and see if they also lost lock with the vehicle for any extended amount of period.
Yeah, so from our perspective, the allowance is effectively up to 30 seconds, up to 3 samples based on the 1/10 hertz. This is not an LCC violation, I believe.
Yes, sir. I would agree with that at this point. Copy that.
We're checking with KUS on 232. I don't think they have 212 access. We're trying to verify, but it sounds like they have a loss of lock as well. About 2 seconds. Okay. And I guess for both KUS and COSE, do we have lock now?
That's affirmed. We do have lock for COSE.
Yeah, so from the integration console perspective, we did have a temporary loss there within the allowable, and per the requirement, let's go.
And this is Houston Flight. We have lock and we have good telemetry here in GSC.
And KUS is reported to they have good lock now. So with all of that, OSC, then are we in a go configuration per your LCC?
Yes, sir. Recommendation would be go.
Right. LP, you concur with that?
Yes, sir. LP concurs go.
And Launch Director?
Yes, sir. Launch Director concurs go.
All right. And for all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the Artemis II launch readiness check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC?
OTC is go.
STC?
STC is go.
GTC?
C's go.
MCO?
CO's go.
Safety Console?
Safety Console is go.
LPE?
LP's go.
RTD?
RTD's go.
Houston Flight?
Houston Flight is go.
ROC?
ROC is go.
And CDR?
Crew is go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And Launch Director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the Launch Director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGS, Program Chief Engineer.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGS, Chief Safety Officer.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range Weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis MMT Chair.
MMTs go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
Good to hear your voice, Charlie. PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
All right, Charlie, your Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go. Sir, you have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR NTD.
Go.
Figure risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8 and 9 going to work.
Copy. CVSE NTD. Start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
You heard an issue, worked in real time with telemetry lock on the Orion. It was transitory. It was very short. They checked the data, confirmed that they had a good lock. This was with the S-band transmitter on the Orion. Worked through that issue, looked at the data, and cleared it. All with the world watching.
All right, and we're clear from cutouts. And with that, we're going to resume the clock momentarily. And CGLS, you can resume the clock on your mark.
GLS copies. 3, 2, 1, mark. GLS mainline has been initiated.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
And that begins terminal count. Our new T0 is 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We are now counting down to liftoff of Artemis II.
GLS is go for crew access arm retract.
And there you see the crew access arm moving away.
GLS is go for ALS.
Great call out. The rocket is on its own, 4 brave explorers ready to ride the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched. Sound suppression water is flowing.
15.
And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate MECO. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour. Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same?
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis II mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour. Minute 50 seconds of mission elapsed time, standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%, ahead of solid rocket booster separation expected at the 2-minute 9-second mark. We see throttle down. Confirmed separation. Main engines throttling up, guidance converged.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
Integrity, SM priming complete.
SM priming complete.
3 minutes into the flight. Integrity, 49 miles in altitude, 78 miles downrange, now passing 5,000 miles per hour. Standing by for launch abort system jettison.
Houston Integrity, good last jettison, great view. We see the same on board, Stan.
And Houston has you loud and clear on TDRS at the Kármán line.
Outstanding, Stan, we have you the same.
3 minutes 50 seconds into the flight of Artemis II, Wiseman, Glover, Cook, and Hansen cross the boundary to space with good comm checks. GPS signals acquired after last jettison now working on internal checks to verify accuracy.
Integrity, GPS processing.
Outstanding, Stan, we see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
Integrity, nominal MECO, core stage separated.
We see the same on board, Stan.
Nine minutes of mission elapsed time. Integrity crew of Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen now in orbit around the Earth at the beginning of their journey to the moon. This is Mission Control Houston, 25 minutes, 45 seconds into the flight of Artemis II. We have confirmation that all 4 solar array wings are deployed and latched. This is the configuration needed to switch to ATO preferred, which you did hear confirmed from pilot Victor Glover. That mode has been switched. Now getting our first views from one of the solar array wing cameras over the tracking data relay satellites. We are in a night pass as we are about a little more than 1,300 statute miles above the Earth, just east off the coast of Madagascar. You see the perigee raise maneuver from the main engine of the ICPS firing from the solar array wing. Standing by for confirmation of cutoff.
Integrity, good, PRM, and 1 minute to teeter standover.
With the regain of comm, we're starting to get some views aboard the Orion spacecraft.
Integrity Houston, voice check on Tidris.
Loud and clear, Stan Hallis.
And we now have you the same. Good to hear your voice.
In the meantime, Mission Specialist Christina Cook working on the activation of some environmental control life support systems and waste management systems. Currently, as teams on the ground analyze some troubleshooting of the activation steps that she was going through, she'll gather some of the backup waste management capabilities that they have aboard Integrity, just as a precaution while the teams assess how to address what was reported down from Mission Specialist Christina Cook on the fault light. At this time, the flight dynamics officer confirms that it was a good burn, so they are on a good trajectory for staying in high Earth orbit for the remainder of this flight day and into next. The high Earth orbit puts them into a 43,730 by 0 statute mile orbit, which orbits the Earth approximately once a day. It's a 23.5-hour orbit.
For the first time since they arrived in space, you're looking at a live view of the Artemis II crew in the Orion spacecraft.
All right, Amy, welcome on board the Integrity spacecraft. We got, right now, myself and Christina are in seats 1 and 2, getting ready for rendezvous and prox ops demonstration. Victor's just finishing up getting out of suits and getting suit drying going, and Jeremy is hard at work in cabin configuration. It was an amazing ride uphill. The views, we've got 2 moon rises that we've had so far, and the views of planet Earth. We've circled it completely, and we forgot how beautiful it is to look down on Earth.
We're hearing some comms from the crew as they are preparing for their proximity operations demonstration. And we have just had, for the first time in over 50 years, humans join the Deep Space Network. Now, we're used to people being on the Near Space Network, the tracking data relay satellite system with the International Space Station. But again, first time in 50 years that we will have crew traveling far enough to be on that Deep Space Network. This view coming live from Orion, now just 3 hours and 10 minutes since liftoff today from Kennedy Space Center. As you have heard, Mission Control Houston is go for the crew to conduct the proximity operations demonstration. Again, we will see the separation of the interim cryogenic propulsion stage coming up first in just under 12 minutes. Standing by for separation.
Yeah, we have good separation, good motion. We are ATP go.
Confirmation, separation from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage.
Good motion. Go for 180 pitch, confirmed. Separation confirmed, Houston.
Houston copies.
All right, here comes the pitch rate. see it. Look at that. Woohoo! That,
This view inside Orion.
I see the moon in the camera, and now I see ICPS in the docking camera field of view. Okay, waiting for 550. I'm on the THC. There's 550, starting the 19N. 1.
This is the view from
9. And
This is the view arrow. The docking camera is showing the crew inside Orion.
19 ends. Much quieter. Got a little rumble,
Checking.
like we're driving on a rocky road, but much quieter than in the sim. I'm showing about 3 degrees wide on ICPS. And it's holding right near the center.
Integrity, no action for you on that enable prop caution.
No action.
Of ICPS, did you see that photo off the screen on camera view? 0.8 degrees wide. Quite large. I'm going to course. 0.9 degrees. 1 degree wide. Here comes 6 outs. 1, 2, 3, 8 down pulses.
Great view of the ICPS that powered Orion during the perigee raise maneuver and apogee raise burn.
4, 5, 8. I can see the side docking target. That is a good looking American flag. Wow. Happy. Going off, Fox. Great flying with you, Houston. Nice vehicle.
Great job, Victor, and to the entire crew, and we enjoyed your excitement at seeing ICPS out the window.
With proximity operations complete and the upper stage separation burn complete as well, we are now looking to the ICPS, or interim cryogenic propulsion stage disposal burn. We will not see this or get data on it. It will burn up upon reentry over Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. And it actually looks like a crescent Earth there in the background. This view coming from one of the solar array wing cameras aboard Orion.
Subscribe for more space.
Good afternoon from the Space Coast of Florida, where 4 astronauts are about to suit up for NASA's boldest test flight in a generation.
Our goal is to pursue the secrets of the universe, to change the world in air and space.
We have a ton of people gathering around the world to watch this history-making moment.
This crew cohesion, we're at the point now where we are ready to go fly.
I've had shivers run up and down my spine a number of times.
This mission is an opportunity for our generation. It's about human history. It's the story of humanity.
The question isn't go or not go. It's are you going to lead or are you going to follow?
This crew could be the first humans to journey around the moon in more than half a century.
The Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Artemis and Artemis II remind us that our greatest chapters are yet to be written. Well done. Go Artemis II!
Point is the end game. The moon has now become the center, the focus of this mission.
Artemis II is the first step in a sustained presence off of planet Earth in deep space. And if we are successful in doing that, I think Artemis II becomes just that first little teeny tiny curb that we stepped up on this really long journey.
And this view on your screen, that is Earth in the center of your screen from the Orion spacecraft. Again, a camera mounted aboard the spacecraft's solar array wing, looking back at all of us.
Good afternoon from the Space Coast of Florida, where 4 astronauts are about to suit up for NASA's boldest test flight in a generation. This crew could be the first humans to journey around the moon in more than half a century.
The Artemis II mission is a test mission of the Orion space capsule.
Artemis II will be the first time we put humans on this rocket. We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is just core to who we are. That's a part of being a human.
And liftoff. We shall return.
continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together. That's what's up.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us live from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, where we are beginning a new chapter in America's human spaceflight story. We are so humbled to have thousands of people here in person to witness this, and the many more watching online from around the world. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and this is NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers.
Thanks, Megan. What a historic day to be here.
What a historic day to be here. Obviously, for what we see right behind us here, the SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft on Launch Pad 39B. Artemis II is a nearly 10-day flight test to prove NASA can safely fly astronauts around the moon before attempting to land on it in just 2 years, hopefully.
Yes, like you said, it's a test flight, so we're going to put humans on this rocket for the first time ever, and we're going to test out the systems on board and hopefully get around the moon.
And why does NASA want to return us to the moon?
Man, we want to go back for scientific discovery, right? We want to create a permanent presence on the lunar surface. We want to be able to harness some of the volatiles or the resources on the moon in order to get us onto Mars later. So we're going to use the moon as a stepping stone to get to Mars, but also we're going to use the moon to learn so much about Earth and about the creation of the solar system. The moon is this untouched witness mark for the Earth and the solar system.
And what I really love is all the things that we do to get us to explore our universe, all of that technology, all the jobs created to support that, it all benefits us here on Earth.
Yes, definitely. I mean, getting this rocket into orbit takes, 8.8 million pounds of thrust, right? And it's the people on Earth who do that and who create that, the engineers, the scientists. There are so many people who make this mission happen.
And so if all goes well, this crew could travel farther from Earth than any other humans before them and see parts of the moon no one has ever laid eyes on. And now, speaking of laying eyes, here we are in the suit-up room with the Artemis II crew.
Yes. Looks like the commander's getting his comm cap on, so the communication cap. Looks like Victor's already got his on and the helmet going.
He's just stretching out his wrist a little bit, right?
Yes.
And in charge of liftoff today is Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson. She and her team are just across the street from us inside of the Launch Control Center. They kicked off continuous around-the-clock operations just before 5 p.m. on Monday and started fueling the rocket about 4 hours ago. They have a 2-hour launch window that opens at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, which our clock in the upper left-hand corner is counting down to. And, we just heard from Charlie Blackwell-Thompson in our tanking coverage, which was the broadcast just before this one kicked off. And basically, she said weather is 80% go.
Yes, 80%, we will take that. It's a little windy. There's some clouds building, but we're going to keep an eye on it, and 80% is a good number to keep moving today.
Yeah, and what she said was a wave of showers are moving west, but they should be well past the pad by the time we launch again. Hopefully at 6:24 p.m. today.
Hopefully.
All right, so again, let's head back into that suit-up room. We see Reed Wiseman. He is the commander of the Artemis II crew, and Nicole, he is putting on what you guys are calling the communications cap, the comm cap.
Yes, so it's a little bit for protection of his head there, but also you can see the mic booms, and he's got ear cups there so he can hear, the rocket's loud. So you're going to wear hearing protection, but then we also want to be able to talk to Earth and talk to each other. So they're getting that settled, and then he will put the helmet on over that comm cap. That comm cap will also connect into the suit, which then eventually connects into the capsule through an umbilical there. So there's a lot of cords and wires. You can see them tuck in that cord under his chin right now.
And so the suits they're wearing, they're called the Orion Crew Survival Suits, or OX suits. And so they're worn for launch and reentry or during high-risk or emergency situations. And I think a lot of people, especially if they have been following NASA for all these decades now, they're kind of thinking, hey, these look like the suits that our shuttle astronauts used to wear. There is a lot of resemblance here.
That's true. Yeah, they are very similar. NASA does a great job of leveraging the lessons that we learned from previous missions. So dating all the way back to Apollo, some of our first spaceflight missions, we learned lessons about the suits and how to make them better, and we just continued to carry that through all the way into the Artemis mission.
Time now to introduce you to some of our teams today. We have Gary Jordan at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. He's going to be inside with the mission control teams, which will take over from Kennedy's launch control team right at liftoff. And then back here at Florida, there's Megan Carter inside Kennedy Space Center's visitor complex, Jasmine Hopkins at a launch viewing location, and then finally Daryl Nail inside the launch control center with the launch team. Now each is going to provide a very unique experience today, starting first with Daryl, who has been closely monitoring the launch countdown for us.
Yeah, and welcome into Firing Room 1, a historic firing room here at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here reporting what's happening as we lead up to countdown and liftoff of Artemis II. So far, looking pretty good. You see the rocket out there on the pad. It is launch day, and we just got that crew weather brief that you were talking about from Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson to the crew. It looks like a countdown at this point is in good shape, and that's great news. Fueling continues to track well. We just reached all stages replenish. And while we're talking about the fueling, let's talk about that tanking. Pull up the tanking graphic if we could now. That will give us an indication of where we are with tanking, and I can just tell you, as you see from this board right here, we are all stages replenish. So all tanks on board the SLS, the 2 liquid hydrogen, lower stage and upper stage, and 2 liquid oxygen, lower stage and upper stage, are at 100%, and that's exactly where we want to be. This kicked off at 7:30 this morning with a go for cryo load, and here we are roughly about 5 hours later, and we're fully tanked and now in replenish. The amount of propellant on board, roughly 733,000 gallons. That's about an Olympic-sized pool and a half. Huge amount of propellant. It's all flowed in there. The great news there, no leaks, no issues, and we're looking good at this point. So let's talk weather now. The weather, while it is favorable overall, it's not totally clean, and that was hinted at earlier when we talked about the storms. There is, of course, some onshore flow. Currently, our overall attempt percentage stands at 80% chance of acceptable weather conditions at the time of liftoff, which is going to be within our launch window. That's tonight from 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time. Winds are good. The lightning risk is low. But scattered showers still remain possible around the Cape and including near the pad. So the expectation is that there'll be some more active weather coming our way, but we're expecting it to push to the west. So the watch item is really any isolated shower that could briefly move through the area and trigger a constraint, especially for flight through precipitation. Well, you're looking now inside the astronaut suit-up room, and of course we got the 4 astronauts there. They talked to Charlie Blackwell-Thompson today, and everything looks good there. We're tracking one minor NC issue at this point. We'll talk. It's a non-conformance. We'll talk about that a little bit later in our next hit. But for now, again, looking good. And of course, our administrator for NASA is here in the firing room. He checked in with the launch director, chatted with her for several minutes, and he's here in the firing room, which is a good positive sign, of course, for the day. That's it for the firing room. We'll send it back now to Megan and Nicole.
Daryl, thank you so much. Yeah, let's get back into the suit-up room here, where we now have a shot of all 4 astronauts, and it appears all of them are undergoing their suit leak checks. Can you talk to us about what that is, Nicole?
Sure, yeah, you can see, as the suit expands, that we're going to pressurize those suits, so in the case that we need it, if we lose pressure in the capsule, those suits will protect the astronauts and keep them pressurized and keep them survivable. So these guys are going to hold their breath for about 10 seconds. Any movement in the suit could cause changes in the pressure, and so we want to get a really nice, precise, accurate measurement on the leak check. And so they'll hold their breath. Even just their heartbeat could potentially make some differences in those super sensitive sensors there. So you can see the red and blue valves there, the air in and air out, and it looks like Victor just had a good leak check.
Yeah, and actually they do 3 leak checks, again, just to get an average reading to say, hey, you know, we have confidence that these suits are holding the right pressure. As Nicole said, that tube that's going in, that's putting air into their suits, and then there was that gold instrument that you saw on their other side. That's how they can control how much pressure is being released in order to do these checks.
Yep, and they will do the leak checks here in the suit room, and then they'll do more actually in the capsule as well. They'll do another leak check. So we're going to make sure the suits are ready to go before we even step out the door, and then we'll check them with the entire system on the capsule once they get out to the rocket.
And you might also notice that some of the astronauts, while they're doing their suit leak checks, you might have seen Victor gave an okay sign. You might also see a thumbs up, and that's because concurrently, while they're doing these suit leak checks, they're also doing comm checks.
Yes, yeah, we talked about the comm cap earlier and the umbilical and how they plug in. So yeah, they're going to test the comm, they're going to test the suit, make sure everything. They're actually probably testing the cooling system as well right now. You know, they're going to plug into the portable cooling system and make sure that all of that is working. So like I said, we want to make sure that we've got 4 healthy suits before we go out.
Yeah, this suit, 3 layers, so obviously it can get hot.
Yes.
So one of the layers is a cooling undergarment, and basically they flow cold liquid through that undergarment to keep the astronauts cool and comfortable before liftoff today.
Yeah, it's like a onesie with a bunch of tubes running around it, and the water flows through there to cool you down.
All right, lots of information to share with you all today. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is send your questions our way by tagging @NASA Artemis, and we'll try to answer as many of your questions live. And we'll also have some questions for you throughout the broadcast, so we hope you can participate in those opportunities as well. Okay, as we continue to be inside the suit-up room here, why don't we learn a little bit about each of our crew members? Right now, we are looking at pilot Victor Glover, but hopefully we can get a shot here of our commander, Reed Wiseman. Now, Reed Wiseman is a Baltimore native. He's been in space once before as flight engineer for Expedition 41 aboard the International Space Station from May through November 2014. During the 165-day mission, Reed and his crewmates completed, get this, more than 300 science experiments in areas like human physiology, medicine, physical science, earth science, and also astrophysics. They actually set a milestone for station science by completing a record 82 research hours in a single week. He also served as chief of NASA's astronaut office from December 2020 to November 2022, and Reed has 2 daughters.
Yeah, you know, I love, Reed is such a great leader. He was the chief of the astronaut office when they hired our class of astronauts. And so, you know, I think I have to publicly thank him for my job here today. But yeah, he's a family man, he's a good leader, and he's a great pick for the commander of this mission.
Yeah, I think, you know, in talking through some of his other accomplishments, obviously he has leadership qualities that makes him prepared for commander of Artemis II.
Yes, yes, he does. He's a well-experienced naval officer and now NASA astronaut.
And so now here we are, pilot Victor Glover. NASA selected the California native as an astronaut in 2013. At the time, he was actually serving as a legislative fellow in the United States Senate. His first trip to space was in November 2020 when he launched as pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission. That was the first operational mission of NASA's Commercial Crew program, which resumed launching American rockets from American soil to the International Space Station at the end of the shuttle program. Victor is a U.S. Navy captain and naval aviator who served as a test pilot, racking up more than 3,500 flight hours in more than 40 different aircraft. He and his wife, Deanna, have 4 children.
Yeah, 4 children, a lot of energy, but that checks, right? Because when I think of Victor Glover, I think of a lot of energy, smart guy who's always excited and ready to go. And there you go, he's smiling in the suit room this morning.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. All of them are. This whole entire crew, they're just a good group of human beings, of leaders, of friends, family. You know, I have never heard anybody say anything bad about any of these 4. They're also well accomplished, and they're also deserving of this opportunity to return to the moon.
Yeah, and they're also humble, right? They're just standard humans going to the moon, but you would never know that when you talk to them in a normal conversation.
And so it looks like Christina here has completed her suit leak checks as well, her communication checks too.
Yep, they've already got her gloves off. They're getting ready to kind of hang out and relax a little bit, I think, before they walk out.
She is a mission specialist for this mission, native of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Was selected to the astronaut corps in 2013, so actually same class as Victor. She served as flight engineer on the International Space Station from March 2019 to February 2020. And during that time, Cook set a record for the longest single space flight by a woman with a total of 328 consecutive days in space. She also participated in the first ever all-female spacewalk. And before becoming an astronaut, Christina helped build space science instruments and led scientific field work in some of the most remote environments on the planet. Her hobbies include surfing, rock climbing, community service, yoga, travel, and photography. Again, so much. When does she find the time?
That's a great question. You know, one of the things I love about Christina is that she's broken records and she's achieved all these milestones. But one of the things that she talks about is, you know, she just wants people to set goals and go work hard and do something that's meaningful to you. And she really hopes that her records are broken as soon as possible. She does it for her family, and she'll talk about all of her nieces and nephews quite a bit. So just, again, another example of just a humble human who's got a great support system in her family and excited for the mission.
Yeah, she's always saying that she just wants the opportunity to push people farther, to push humanity farther, see what we can accomplish together. So, yeah. Again, all four of them say that. They're really in tune on what they think or what they feel like their role is in this mission.
Yeah, I think their legacy is going to be, you know, providing the shoulders for others to climb on.
And last but not least, first-time flyer, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon as a mission specialist on the Artemis II mission. The London, Ontario native was selected as an astronaut in 2009. After that, he worked as Capcom at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston. Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator, and that's the sole direct voice communicating with astronauts in space. He also participated in training exercises such as living on the ocean floor off the coast of Florida to simulate deep space exploration for 7 days. In 2017, he became the first Canadian to lead a NASA astronaut class. He also enjoys getting out on a sailboat, rock climbing, and mountain biking. Jeremy and his wife, Catherine, have 3 children, and he actually got to hang out with them over the weekend. So the crew arrived here for launch at Kennedy Space Center on Friday, and then their family members arrived Saturday.
Yes, yeah. As long as their family can quarantine with them, then they will stay, you know, quarantined in Houston, and then they all fly down to Kennedy Space Center, and then you get to spend the last few days with your close family and
For now, again, looking good. And of course, our administrator for NASA is here in the firing room. He checked in with the launch director, chatted with her for several minutes, and he's here in the firing room, which is a good positive sign, of course, for the day. That's it for the firing room. We'll send it back now to Megan and Nicole.
Daryl, thank you so much. Yeah, let's get back into the suit-up room here, where we now have a shot of all 4 astronauts, and it appears all of them are undergoing their suit leak checks. Can you talk to us about what that is, Nicole?
Sure, yeah, you can see, you know, as the suit expands, that we're going to pressurize those suits. So in the case that we need it, if we lose pressure in
Reed Wiseman is a Baltimore native. He's been in space once before as flight engineer for Expedition 41 aboard the International Space Station from May through November 2014. During the 165-day mission, Reed and his crewmates completed, get this, more than 300 science experiments in areas like human physiology, medicine, physical science, earth science, and also astrophysics. They actually set a milestone for station science by completing a record 82 research hours in a single week. He also served as chief of NASA's astronaut office from December 2020 to November 2022, and Reed has 2 daughters.
Reed is such a great leader. He was the chief of the astronaut office when they hired our class of astronauts. So, I think I have to publicly thank him for my job here today. But yeah, he's a family man. He's a good leader, and he's a great pick for the commander of this mission.
Yeah, I think in talking through some of his other accomplishments, obviously he has leadership qualities that makes him prepared for commander of Artemis II.
Yes, he does. He's a well-experienced naval officer and now NASA astronaut.
And so now here we are, pilot Victor Glover. NASA selected the California native as an astronaut in 2013. At the time, he was actually serving as a legislative fellow in the United States Senate. His first trip to space was in November 2020 when he launched as pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission. That was the first operational mission of NASA's Commercial Crew program, which resumed launching American rockets from American soil to the International Space Station at the end of the shuttle program. Victor is a U.S. Navy captain and naval aviator who served as a test pilot, racking up more than 3,500 flight hours in more than 40 different aircraft. He and his wife Deanna have 4 children.
Yeah, 4 children, a lot of energy, but that checks, right? Because when I think of Victor Glover, I think of a lot of energy, smart guy who's always excited and ready to go. And there you go, he's smiling in the suit room this morning.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. All of them are. This whole entire crew, they're just a good group of human beings, of leaders, of friends, family. I have never heard anybody say anything bad about any of these 4. They're all so well accomplished, and they're also deserving of this opportunity to return to the moon.
Yeah, and they're also humble, right? They're just standard humans going to the moon, but you would never know that when you talk to them in a normal conversation.
And so it looks like Christina here has completed her suit leak checks as well, her communication checks too.
Yep, they've already got her gloves off. They're getting ready to kind of hang out and relax a little bit, I think, before they walk out.
She is a mission specialist for this mission, native of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Was selected to the Astronaut Corps in 2013, so actually same class as Victor. She served as flight engineer on the International Space Station from March 2019 to February 2020. And during that time, Cook set a record for the longest single space flight by a woman with a total of 328 consecutive days in space. She also participated in the first ever all-female spacewalk. And before becoming an astronaut, Christina helped build space science instruments and led scientific field work in some of the most remote environments on the planet. Her hobbies include surfing, rock climbing, community service, yoga, travel, and photography. Again, so much. When does she find the time?
That's a great question. One of the things I love about Christina is that she's broken records and she's achieved all these milestones. But one of the things that she talks about is, she just wants people to set goals and go work hard and do something that's meaningful to you. And she really hopes that her records are broken as soon as possible. She does it for her family, and she'll talk about all of her nieces and nephews quite a bit. So just, again, another example of just a humble human who's got a great support system in her family and excited for the mission.
Yeah, she's always saying that she just wants the opportunity to push people farther, to push humanity farther, see what we can accomplish together. So, yeah, again, all 4 of them say that. They're really in tune on what they think or what they feel like their role is in this mission.
Yeah, I think their legacy is going to be, providing the shoulders for others to climb on.
And last but not least, first-time flyer, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon as a mission specialist on the Artemis II mission. The London, Ontario native was selected as an astronaut in 2009. After that, he worked as Capcom at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston. Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator, and that's the
apogee raise burn. What that means is that they're going to accelerate to get further away from the Earth, and they'll get into a really highly elliptical orbit first. And then once they get into the translunar injection, so they're actually on a free return trajectory, which means we're going to accelerate them, and then they're going to escape Earth's gravity, and then just based on orbital mechanics, they'll be able to come home without having to do another burn or acceleration. So it'll take about 4 days once they leave Earth's gravity to get to the moon. They'll fly around the moon, about 4 days back, and then land. So overall, about a 10-day mission.
Exactly. Yeah, these are really great questions, guys. We know that, again, we are sharing a lot of information today, so please do not hesitate to reach out. Obviously, Nicole, very smart here, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. Again, tag at NASA Artemis wherever you're watching this coverage. And now we actually have a question for you. Who would you take with you on a trip around the moon? Would it be your bestie? Would it be a pet, family member, or a seasoned astronaut? Think about that one. I know.
I like that.
I absolutely know what I would say. I think it would make my husband upset, but I have my answer here. But we'd love for you to go to NASA's Instagram or Twitch accounts to vote. Again, who would you take to the moon with you? Bestie, pet, family, or seasoned astronaut? Try to go vote, and then we will share your answers soon. Again, husband is not gonna like my answer. And we're not the only ones with questions today. We will also hear from celebrities during our launch coverage. See what Stanley Tucci, Scarlett Johansson, and others want to know about NASA's Artemis II test flight. Plus the surprise of a lifetime as kids marveled at the rocket and spacecraft rolling to the launch pad. Look at those cute faces there. Oh, I love that. Love those suits. And we'll show you how the astronauts will eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom while in space. Keep in mind the Orion spacecraft is about the size of a 6-person tent.
Yeah, not super big, but you know, it's 10 days with your 3 best friends, so I think it's manageable for sure. But you know, every ounce counts when you're
fine. But they just were noting the trend and reported that to the NASA test director. So they'll keep their eyes on that. But again, there was no LCC violation. And once they get the cover off Orion out there that's protecting it from the rain, they expect the temperatures inside the Orion crew capsule to stabilize. And with that, we'll send it back to the host desk with Megan and Nicole.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Now, Daryl is inside Firing Room 1 in the Launch Control Center, or LCC, as you might hear it referred to, which was built in 1967 to support Apollo missions. In fact, Apollo 11, the mission that landed on the moon in 1969, that was called from the exact same firing room. NASA then upgraded the LCC to support shuttle missions, and now Artemis. You can see there a shot from when we supported shuttle. Now with Artemis, the primary launch team for today is in Firing Room 1, but there is actually support staff in Firing Room 2 as well. And together they will propel this ambitious test flight off Earth.
extensively to prepare for the highly dynamic phase of flight that begins shortly after engine ignition. Teams here will be monitoring the flight of the Space Launch System, Orion, and of course the Artemis II crew on board as they make their way from the Kennedy Space Center into Earth orbit. The lead console positions will be in this room called the White Flight Control Room, a room which traces its legacy to the Space Shuttle program, with the first shift supporting STS-70 in 1995, more than 30 years ago. Each console represents an expert in a particular discipline, whether it be communications, propulsion, crew health, life support systems, or trajectory. And each of these individuals has a support team in other rooms, each ensuring that no data point is left unchecked, no procedure is missed, and combining efforts as one Artemis team to ensure crew safety and mission success. safe for the recovery teams, and the crew is extracted from integrity and brought aboard the recovery vessel. The roar of a powerful space launch system liftoff is just the beginning. The mission is, of course, a test mission, the first with humans on board Orion and in deep space. The crew's job is to put the systems and capabilities of Orion to the test, taking us closer to a sustained presence on the lunar surface. It's great to see the crew gathered around the table. Megan, with that, we'll toss it back to you as we continue to monitor from here in Mission Control Houston. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Gary. Yes, a pre-flight tradition that we have seen with our crewed flights and our astronauts, the card game, Nicole.
Yeah, you know, this is a fun time for the crew. Kind of relax a little bit, play a card game with the chief. You can see Scott Tingle there is the dealer today. Looks like they're playing high card wins. So Victor won, he's out, now Jeremy's out. You know, there are two schools of thought on this game. Either you want to get rid of all your bad luck or go out on a high note. So it looks like the crew chose we're going out on a high note. And, you know, I think one of my favorite parts when I talked to Reed about this is he was just excited to play a game with his old boss from Naval Test Pilot School. So once again, his boss today.
Yeah, and I love this part of the tradition because this is fun. Again, you usually see them like, laughing, but very focused still. But when they get to this table, laughs, high fives, smiles, just really a brief moment of levity in what can be and will be a very long day for them.
Yes, you know, it's a long day. There's a lot of preparation that goes into today. And so they're just, I think, at least for us, it was a nice brief moment of some relaxation, a couple laps, moment to take a few deep breaths, and reflect on the mission that they're and then, you know, get some relaxes.
And so with their bad luck dispelled, some good luck from Scott Tingle. Let it seem like there, right?
It's actually a really fun tradition here. I think that card game is more steeped in tradition than anything else we've played last night.
As you said, Nicole, the primary reason for why they're there to suit up, to do communications checks, to do pressure checks all done, and now it seems like Reed had some words for the team in that room.
Yeah, you know, this day can't handle thousands of people, right? And so super is a great example of that. These SUTECs and the mission support team, everyone as many as possible. Yeah, they've been working with this team for years at this point. Right, and you know, each suit is slightly different, each person is slightly different, and so these SUTECs know each individual super well. They know exactly how they like to get into the suit, exactly where things might get caught, or you know, small adjustments that might need to be made. So they know their SUTECs well, and their SUTECs know them very well.
And so as we take a couple of pictures here, we really hope that you are learning a lot about the suits and the process of checking them out for a mission. But imagine the opportunity to get a hands-on demonstration from people who helped design these suits.
mentioned, very large, as you can see here, going to stand about 322 feet tall with Orion there on top, just a little bit taller than the Statue of Liberty. Now, there are many components that make up this rocket, so I'm going to point out just a handful that you're going to hear about a lot throughout this broadcast, starting with our boosters. These two twin solid rocket boosters are going to be very powerful. They are going to burn for the first 2.5 minutes of flight, and each one is going to stand 17 stories tall. They weigh in at about 1.6 million pounds each. Now, I am going to jump back out and I'm going to show you a little bit about our core stage. That's going to be known as the backbone, essentially, of our rocket, and it is made up of around 5 components, starting with this engine section down here. This engine section is where our 2 propellants are going to be funneled down through our pipelines, and they are going to be mixed at 2 different temperatures, very complex processing, and they are then going to go on to feed that fuel to our 4 very powerful RS-25 engines. These are going to produce about 500,000 pounds of thrust each at launch, and they will burn for 8 minutes. All right, now jumping up here, we are going to take a look, because I just mentioned those propellants. Obviously, we do need fuel, and that is why we have around 535,000 gallons of that liquid hydrogen. That's approximately about the same amount that you could fill an Olympic-sized pool, just to give you an idea. And then we're also going to have that liquid oxygen, and like I mentioned, there's going to be about 200,000 gallons for that one, and they are going to be funneled down through those lines that you see here on the side. All right, jumping up real quick, this is going to be our upper stage. That is where our core avionics are going to be stored, essentially the brains of the spacecraft. And then jumping out super quick, let's see if we can zoom in here, and we can. Those propellants I talked about are going to be stored at cryogenic temperatures. That means thousands of degrees below Fahrenheit, so they have to be kept very cold. And that's all those bumps and ridges there that you see, those are actually going to be an insulation spray that's going to help keep that rocket nice and cool, keep the propellants ready to go, and get us set up for success. Now, obviously, that was a very quick overview of our rocket. I have so much more to show you here on our moon board, but for now, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. A very impressive demo of the moon board, but also an impressive system, obviously. She mentioned 4 RS-25 engines on the core stage, and actually we have one right behind us here, used during the shuttle program, and I got to get a closer look at it with Space Launch Systems Engines Deputy Manager Philip Bagley. Okay, so ready for the astronauts who have just left crew suit up and are now walking down a hallway to greet some family and friends downstairs. Commander Reed Weissman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Looking excited, ready. Now in that elevator to take them 3 floors down. Thumbs up, one more photo, one more photo. Oh, nope, a couple more people in that elevator. Those are important folks, they're going with them to the pad.
Yeah, this is a fun elevator ride.
Yeah.
And actually you couldn't see them because they're off camera, but the support crew that's actually in crew quarters with us is right there waving goodbye and saying goodbye to you. So it's a really special moment to say thank you and say goodbye to the support crew at crew quarters.
That's amazing. And so again, they will ride down 3 floors, and then soon we'll walk out the doors that you see underneath the banner there that says their names. These doors, the same doors that astronauts who have launched from Kennedy Space Center have walked out of since the Apollo program.
Yes, and you can see another tradition is putting your patch on that archway as well. So I'm sure they did that over the last couple days.
They did. It's actually it's so hard to see because there's so many of them, which is also great, but it's on the door frame on the right-hand side, the very, very bottom.
Awesome.
Great crowd here. A shot now of everyone who is waiting to greet the crew as they walk out of the operations and checkout building here at Kennedy Space Center and will board their ride to the launch pad.
Yeah, this is a really great shot, right? Because you get to see a little bit of what goes on there. So you've got the close family that were in quarantine with them up close. They get a wave goodbye one last time. You've got a little bit of media in the background, and then you've got some NASA employees and a lot of the program managers off to the side
celebrations with the family members. Christina there, she has her husband. Victor has 4 daughters and his wife, they're there. Reed, his 2 daughters are there. And then Jeremy, his wife, 2 daughters and a son. You know, when you were standing in their shoes, Nicole, when you flew for Crew 10, what were you kind of talking about? Like, did you really think about this moment and what you might want to say?
You know, they've all already done their real goodbyes, you know, in person. And so this is more just kind of, again, that last chance to wave, last chance to get one smile. You know, you see Christina there smiling. So this felt much less heavy and just, you know, waving and maybe cracking a joke or something, saying hi. So this was a really, really great moment for her.
Reed's 2 daughters there. Reed spoke about when he told them that he was selected to be the Artemis II commander. And he said he was worried. He's a single dad, didn't know how they would react. And actually, he said he was overwhelmed by their support. He woke up the next morning with cupcakes baked by one of the daughters. Moon cupcakes.
I love this story. Moon cupcakes the next morning. Like, how awesome is that, right? Everybody needs their support system, and clearly he has that in his daughters.
Christina said she took a bike ride with her husband and wanted to tell him when the ribbon rose, but then it was too foggy. But she said he was still very excited and happy for her.
Yeah, the moon's still out there.
The close-up now, again, Commander Reed Wiseman and Mission Specialist Christina Cook. To the right of your screen, as we pan left, we have pilot Victor Glover. Victor told his wife, and they told their 4 kids together, and he said that one of them just started yelling, "Let's go!"
Yes, I love that. Again, the support from the family is awesome.
And Jeremy said his wife and 3 children, super excited. He felt very supported. You know, he did have that tough conversation, obviously, of talking about the realities of this being a test flight, but he said they were super supportive. And now as he walks away, some kisses from Victor Glover to his family, hearts to Christina. Jeremy being a gentleman, pausing so that Christina can take a nice photo without him. Hearts too from Reed there. Hearing Victor saying, "Love you guys," saying that to some of his crew members there. Woody. launch pad 39B, where they will fly to the moon, something no human has done in over 50 years. They may also set a new record as the farthest humans have ever been from Earth, a record set by the Apollo 13 crew almost 56 years ago today. We still hear cheers as they drive away from the operations and checkout building here at Kennedy Space Center. Now, while the crew make their way to the pad, let's get to know each of them even better. First, Commander Reed Wiseman.
The moon, to me, it's the thing that connects me together with all the other humans in my life. I remember being a little kid lying in bed at night and just looking out at the moon in whatever phase it was in. I was thinking, man, my friends that live like 20 miles away, they can probably look out and see that same exact moon. And then when I was in the Navy and I would look out at the moon and I'd be halfway around the planet and I would think, man, my brother can see that moon where he is and he's halfway around the planet from where I am. To me, it's a connection of life on Earth. We can all look up and see that moon, and it's always changing. The moon is never the same 2 days in a row. I love that. My name is Reed Wiseman. I'm the commander of NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. I grew up in a little town just north of Baltimore, Maryland, about 20 miles north of the city. There was a National Guard base nearby my house, and there were A-10 aircraft that would fly over every now and then. I just would look up at them and be like, man, I want to be up there. I want to go do that. And then my brother went to the Naval Academy, and I would go every year and watch the Blue Angels fly during commencement, and that just started to grow and grow and grow. For a while, I wanted to join the Air Force, and then I realized Navy flies as well, and they fly from ships in the middle of the ocean, and that was it, like done deal for me. That is exactly what I wanted to do for my career. Flying is freedom to me, especially when you're in a jet aircraft coming off of an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Nearest land is over 1,500 miles away, so when you come off of that aircraft carrier, you are truly just alone with yourself out there. It is a magical experience to be out there all by yourself in an aircraft over the Pacific. It's free. I think anybody who accomplishes something that they set their mind out to, there's no
launch system rocket was assembled and stacked with Orion. Its history, of course, goes back to the Apollo days, but today it is home to the Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. Gosh, still people lining the room. Yep.
I love that.
I do too. It leaves me kind of speechless.
Yes.
You know, just to see all the support, all of the people who want to know that they're thinking of them, they're with them, and the fact that this crew specifically has always said we are going for all by all. This must be really special to them.
Yes, and that's just here on Kennedy Space Center. Imagine the rest of Florida right now.
Yeah. Mission Specialist Christina Cook, who holds the record for the most consecutive days in space by a woman. Let's take a look at what she has to say about this mission.
I tell a story, which is one that my dad told me before the Apollo missions when he was just a very little boy. He was looking up at the moon with his mom, and his mom said to him, "Don't worry, Ronnie, we'll never get there." Fast forward maybe 70 years later, it's his daughter that's actually going there. And I think that long arc is something that we can all learn from. The idea that the seemingly impossible becomes possible if you just believe in it and are willing to work hard and come together to achieve it. My name is Christina Cook, and I'm a mission specialist for NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. When I look back at my dreams as a kid, I definitely never thought I would actually get here. I was very pragmatic. Even though I'm a dreamer, I knew that the odds were way against me again, so I might as well do something I'm loving in the meantime. I definitely loved science and math in school and, did pretty well in those things, but I also loved being active. I was always outside. I loved things that made me feel small. I loved looking at the night sky, oftentimes between the pine tree branches, or I loved the ocean. North Carolina also has mountains, and when we go there, I just loved the vastness of all of those things. I loved how they made me feel and what they made me think about, and the vastness of the universe and how much out there was to learn. I'm drawn to exploring. I'm drawn to challenges that involve both mental and physical, and I'd much rather be solving problems wearing a whole lot of equipment and in a harsh environment, and that's just something I've carried with me ever since I was a kid. Thinking about the fears or challenges that I've had to overcome, there are just so many. I mean, basically, it's just been, that has been the journey. I always say to people, do what scares you, and that means I have to follow my own advice. So doing what scares me meant getting on a plane and going to the Antarctic, getting on a plane and going to study
to leave the astronaut crew quarters, driving by, and of course going up the causeway until they got there to the pad. And now we see them coming out of the Astro van there and getting ready to ascend the launch tower. Well, we got a weather brief before they went out to the pad, and of course LWO gave a go. There could be some rain out there at the pad. It's already rained out there already. If you're in the area and you're watching right now, well, certainly you know that there's some rain in the area. There's going to be spotty showers that are going to be coming ashore here, and we expect that throughout our rest of our countdown. But we also are getting forecasts that there'll be some clearing as we get closer to our launch window. Big wave from Reed Wiseman there, and a thumbs up as the crew goes into the elevator to ascend the launch tower to go up to the level where they'll walk across the crew access arm and get into the white room. One of the things that you're going to start to hear now is from the crew themselves. We're going to be airing the Orion to Earth loop, which is the communications that's going between that crew and the launch team here as they walk them through configuring their various consoles as well as getting ready. A nice moment here, and I'll just pause to just look and see as the crew walks across the zero deck, as they call it, which is the deck that's right there even with the engines, and they're taking a moment to go over there and stand up and gaze up at the 322-foot tall SLS rocket. This was part of the plan for the Artemis II crew, and potentially a rocket that could help them make history to go farther from Earth than any crew has before. The farthest distance from Earth when they launch will be roughly around 248,000 statute miles. They're expected to go about 4,000 miles farther than the Apollo 13 crew did. And now they've headed to the elevator to go up. Again, I was talking about the loops. You're going to be hearing from the crew as they discuss with the launch team getting various systems ready to go. And then closer to liftoff, we'll hear the operational launch team loop brought forward ahead of the critical pre-launch polls and then the start of terminal count. And that should be right around L-25 minutes, right before the NASA test director gives their poll and the launch director gives her management poll, which happens at L-17 minutes. Right now, a lot of focus is on, of course, the closeout crew. They've made the way for the crew to get inside the spacecraft now and walk across that crew access arm, and there they are. They have been working on a tight timeline, but they are ready to go, and they are ready to receive the crew and start putting them inside their Integrity spacecraft. That's it from the firing room. We'll send it back to Megan and Nicole.
And Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, again, we mentioned her a second ago. Her team have been training extensively for this moment since Artemis I launched in November 2022. Today, they have a message for Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy.
Today, you carry the work of thousands and the hopes of millions. Every test, every simulation, every long day and night have led to this moment. This team is ready. The vehicle is ready. And you are ready. From the ground to the moon, Godspeed, Artemis II!
I love that. I just love seeing all of the people who have contributed to this mission and the fact that this is what they've been working for, and now it's culminating today.
Yeah, thousands of people have worked on this mission, and we saw there from the launch team. But human spaceflight is like the ultimate team sport, is what I like to say, and that's just a great example of our team wishing our astronauts good luck.
That shot there that we were just looking at was aimed at the elevator doors, again, to catch the astronauts as they make their way up to the 274-foot level of the mobile launcher. The mobile launcher is the structure you see there. It is not only a way for the crew to obviously access Orion, but also provides the fuels, communications, all that. walk across the crew access arm, getting a beautiful view of Kennedy Space Center.
From 274 feet.
Nicole laughs because Nicole is also, like Reed, does not like heights.
Does not like how open that crew access arm is. But Reed made it across, so that's good news.
It looks like they really enjoyed it. You know, they didn't just walk straight past. Christina and Victor, we definitely saw.
Some thumbs up there,
looking out, yep, that crew access arm. And then Reed, he knows where that camera is. Taking the opportunity to, again, just tell folks, hey, we're doing good. Ready for it. And it looks like they're actually probably signing their patch.
Yeah, there's a wall with patches there, and so each crew signs when they get up for their launch.
And so this is probably actually the first time a crew is doing this in the White Room of Launchpad 39B. Don't quote me on that, but I think the signing started with the commercial crew program, so there's a lot of that in the White Room over at 39A. But again, this is 39B. Yep. And so now in this room here, the White Room, again, we will see the crew don or put on their communication caps again, their helmets, their gloves, and remove coverings that they had on their shoes.
Yeah, so they want to protect the suits while they're walking out and up to the White Room, and now they'll finish reassembling those suits. Put the boots on, put the gloves on. You see they're working their comm caps now, and they'll work the helmets eventually as well.
And so as we watch this process unfold, why don't we take a couple of questions for you guys, from you guys. What is the most difficult thing about preparing for a flight, Nicole? That question's obviously for you.
This is a great question. You know, I think we get such good training. You know, this crew's been training for years. And so they know this rocket and this capsule inside and out. They know all the dangers. They know how to react to anything. So I actually think, you know, preparing your support system and your family, I think launch day is actually tougher for your family than it is for you. And, you know, we've heard the crew talk about the difficult conversations that they've had with their family to prepare for this historic test flight. And so I think, you know, the closer and closer you get to the rocket, the fewer and fewer things from Earth you keep. You know, they left their suitcases at crew quarters this morning. They left their cell phones, their laptops, everything. And so you are just a human in a spacesuit about to get on a rocket with all of your loved ones watching. And I think that could be probably one of the most difficult parts about today.
And while you were answering that question, Nicole, we did get a chance to check. Yes, this is the first time a crew has signed the wall of the White Room, again here at pad 39B. Let's take another social question now. All launch windows happen to be in the evening. How come? Obviously referring to the April opportunities specific to Artemis II.
Right. You know, this is a complicated answer. I don't know that I would have the exact mechanics behind it, but it has a lot to do with orbital mechanics and where we are in terms of the Earth and the Moon relationship. And, you know, like we said, we're trying to get on that free return trajectory, and so it has a lot to do with when we can do the perigee and apogee raise burns and the translator injection. So there's a lot of math that goes behind these launch windows and why they shift and move and why we just so happen to be in the evening for the April launch windows.
Yep. You did answer it well. closeout team. We saw a few of these folks also in the suit-up room. Suit technicians were in there again to make sure that they get into the suits properly